a privilege to be here with so many clergy from different faiths. Slightly overwhelming as a person who's not a member of the clergy, but nonetheless will do my best to share some thoughts on this topic. I'm going to share a few stories to help you understand where I'm coming from. The first story is about my childhood. I grew up in a home with a father who fought in Germany on the American side, worked with those that were liberated from Dachau and the concentration camps, and grew up with a father who talked about his doubt in religion, who grew up with a father who talked about his frustration with the American government and the world who turned their back on the Jews and the others that were slaughtered by the Nazis. I learned of the story of the Spirit of St. Louis, who came a ship that left Europe, was on the shores of Florida near Cuba, and was turned away and sent back to Europe, where some people were able to get off in England, but the majority went back to mainland Europe and who were killed. How close they were to freedom. I think of the stories of a fairly recent story of the Jews in Iran who had to leave in the late 70s when the Shah fell and the Ayatollah took over and it wasn't safe for the Jews of Iran to live there, and fled in the middle of the night out, and they went to places like Israel or Europe or America, specifically Great Neck or Los Angeles. As we know, there are very large Persian communities there. And then I think of a story from this past summer, July 2014. I had the privilege of traveling to Oaxaca, Mexico. And we were in Oaxaca and we had the opportunity to sit with folks in a shelter who had left Honduras, who had left El Salvador on their way to the border. One woman that I met with, her name was Rosa. I speak a little Spanish from high school, but I can tell you that we had a translator. But I can tell you I didn't need the translator. I could see her passion. I could understand enough of her story of why she left Honduras. Why? Yes, for a better life. That became a bit of a joke on our trip. It's more than a better life. There's about 8 or 7 or 10 more paragraphs of why they leave, why people leave places like Honduras and El Salvador and Guatemala. I'll sum it up in a few sentences. They left for the same reasons the Jews wanted to leave Nazi Germany. They left for the same reasons the Jews of Iran wanted to leave, because they feared for their life. They don't have a life there. They don't have food. Rosa left. She had a job. But every day she would get beaten by the gangs in Honduras because they knew she had money. Rosa was traveling with her 3-year-old son. 3 years old. She didn't want him to grow up without a mother. After a few minutes of conversation, I got up the courage to ask Rosa, what do you travel with? What's it like? We travel with shopping bags. We're not legal in Mexico. We don't want to look as if we don't belong here either. Every night since I heard that story, when I go to bed, I think about the shopping bags in my house. We use them for garbage. We also learn about the first experience of hospitality in the Old Testament, when Abraham, after circumcising himself at the age of 90 with a rock. Okay, have that image in your head. He sees what we learn are angels, right, coming because his tent was open on all sides, and he rushed up, he jumped up, ran out and said, how can I be helpful? Come on in, have some water, have some food, right? And that's the example. If Abraham could do it at 90 after circumcising himself with a rock, we in America can be welcoming. The Long Island that I envision is an island where we say, how can we be helpful? Communities that share and talk to each other and say, how can we be helpful? We don't have to pray together. We don't have to agree on everything. But we can be and live as one community. We can share similar values together as one community.